Alright, hey guys, 12th endgame in the series, and here, another knight circuit for you to learn. This circuit I call the spider web circuit here. As you can see, it's got 4 squares on it, similar to the full octopus circuit. Here, G4, H2, F1, and E3 constitute the circuit. And this circuit applies as long as the attacking pawn here on the rook file. But it would actually work if it was on any file. Obviously, on the other side, it would the circuit would be in reverse. Let's say the pawn was on H3, the circuit would be A2, B4, D3, and C1. Here on this side of the board. And if the pawn was on H2, your knight would need to already be in a position to take it immediately. With the pawn on H2, there's no circuit for knight to move around on, where it can constantly guard the pawn. On H2, the square to protect would be H1, and the only squares you'd be able to protect that square from would be F2 and G3. And unfortunately, the king can guard both of those squares. That's not really a circuit worth learning. Keeping the knight on this circuit ensures that black will never be able to advance their pawn without it being taken, either immediately or by way of a fork. And show you what I mean. If we just play a few moves here, king G3, the knight can go to E3 safely here. If the pawn advances, knight F1 forks the king and the pawn. If black tries to kick the knight, they can go to F1, and you see here they guard the H2 square. Tries to kick it again, goes to H2, blocks the pawn. G2 goes to knight G4, the G4 square, and again it guards the H2 square. So the king is never able to kick the knight off this circuit. The squares on the circuit are too far apart for the black king to defend them at once. Slightly different from the octopus or half octopus circuit in that in those circuits the knight needs to reach one square in particular, and from that square, once they've reached that square, then they have multiple options to go back and forth from. With this circuit, any square once reached will hold the rook pawn in check, as long as the rook pawn is on the 6th rank or further back. Just to show you the variation again, knight G4, king G3, and you just move to whichever square is available. Very easy. King goes to F3 in this case, knight back to H2 check. F1 is free. King G2, knight E3. King goes to G1. Here this doesn't kick the knight. We've got to be careful we don't not engage our brains here. We've got to guard this pawn again. So knight G4. And we stay on the circuit. H2, G4, E3, and F1. Cheers guys.